experience within itself of standing inside a mosque with 75 to 100 other brothers that you know they're around you, but you can't see them. Why can't you see them? Because you're supposed to be looking down where you're finna prostrate at. So you know your family is around you when you're in there praying. Everybody is focused on the same thing.
Why they keep on calling my name? Peace, it's the bearded Heru and everything is real. Let's build. Continuing my series with my brother Bilal during the month of Ramadan. Today we gonna build on Ramadan. How you doing, my brother? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillah, how you doing, brother?
Brother Bilal, right now we going through Ramadan. Could you tell us the meaning of Ramadan?
Gladly. In the Quran, Ramadan is the blessed month when the Quran was first revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The story's a little bit deeper, and it'll kind of reveal as to why we practice and do what we do during the month. But initially, to start off, Ramadan is the very first day, very first time that Allah revealed the very first words of the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad, which the majority of the Ummah knows was Iqra, read or recite, depending on what tongue you translate it in or from.
Okay, so Brother Bilal, just to get into some of the customs and traditions of Ramadan for the people who don't know, when Ramadan starts, what are some of the traditions in the beginning of Ramadan during the first day?
The very first thing is paying attention, because nobody really knows when it's going to start until that person sights the new moon. As soon as a new moon is sighted, it's observed at that point on forward that the blessed month of Ramadan is upon us. So from that point on, there are a lot of extra prayers inside the masjid, but primarily fasting from the next day from sunup to sundown, and subsequently for the next 28 and a half days or so throughout the remainder of the month to the end.
Just to throw this out there, how would you actually know when does Ramadan start, and does Ramadan switch every year? Is it on the same month and day of every year, or does it switch?
Still can catch the beginning of Ramadan by going outside at night to catch the very first sight in that first little sliver of the new moon, right after the month of Rajab. The very first day is of course being seen by the new moon sighting. At that point, there's a very long prayer observed in the mosque, starting with the very first sighting of the new moon. Quran being broken into 30 juices or 30 sections. Each individual section is recited from the beginning of Ramadan throughout each subsequtive day and to the end of it. So by the time one person makes it through the entire month of Ramadan, they will have made salat or made prayers through the entirety of the Quran. The primary practice is fasting, abstaining from certain things. Quran, it says from food, from beverages, from intoxicants, even from marital affairs from sunup until sundown, and anything that could take you away from Allah, you stay away from it. You keep it away from you. You don't want to hear that one, huh? You don't want to hear the last one?
No, nigga.
That way happen, no nookie, no, stop for a lot.
Just to throw this out there, during Ramadan, is there any special prayers that's attributed or that goes along with Ramadan that you might not use any other time of the year?
Other than the extra salat after Isha prayer, that's the special one. You'll make your last of your 5 daily salat, but the prayer after that is what we call tarawih, which is standing and reciting essentially. it takes some serious intention and discipline to stand and go through 2 individual units of prayer throughout the course of the Quran. Make salam to the left and the right, and then immediately get back up and then continue to recite throughout the Quran again until you get to the end of that first section out of 30. So from beginning to end for that one particular prayer, after your 5th daily prayer, it may take about a good hour and 10 minutes to make the full consecutive cycle of prayers throughout that first section out of 30 from the Quran. The next day you do it again. The next day you do it again. On that final day, when you get finished and you get to the end and the last surah is recited in the Quran, you have officially perfectly aligned yourself with that book from beginning to end throughout the entire month of Ramadan. The practices that you've read or heard the Imam say while you were making prayer, hopefully you were paying attention to and you internalized. You brought them out into manifestation. You lived like your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For the committed brothers, you completed that circuit of as above, so below. Everything that Allah prescribed to Muhammad to do. If you're following this person in this Quran, then you would do the same thing to complete that circuit. That's essentially the gist of it. Fasting just starts that process. And if you continue with it, it speeds it up. Alhamdulillah.
I want to go back to some customs and traditions of Ramadan, and I want to build on fasting, right? Fasting during Ramadan, how much discipline does that take to fast for that long? During the so-called 24-hour cycle that we live in, how fast and how much discipline do you have to truly be able to say that you completed that fast for the day?
I tend to think about the reward after the fact for that full 30, knowing that if I would start this and then stop on the 3rd day, then these benefits that I've been taught, then I'm saying I'm going to try to master and internalize and make a part of myself to be better. I didn't do. That's the driving factor right there. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went up into the cave and meditated for that period of time. He just went up there and wanted to talk and listen to Allah. It was it. Nowhere in the Quran it didn't mention he brought any food, no sustenance. He didn't bring his wife up there with him. She was too busy down there. She was too busy making money. That's where they come from, merchants. But he was up there by himself. Nobody but him and Allah. So we tend to do the same thing down here.
But I just for clarification and to be clear, you're fasting during Ramadan. That's no food, no water, no liquid. Nothing goes into the body into the end of the fast.
Until the no. You don't not eat for the full 28 or 29 and a half days or so.
Through for your fasting period throughout the day.
Yeah, sun up to sundown.
So from sun up to sundown. No food, no water, no crackers, no piece of bread, no nothing.
Nope. You can eat before that first prayer in the morning, but then you have to set a little bit stronger intention to get up earlier to make a healthy breakfast to really eat with before all of that tends to happen.
That's a good point. So is it off tradition to actually get up early to have breakfast? So from sun up to sundown, so that means while the sun is down, you'll be eating dinner, right?
Yeah, you can eat dinner, iftar or breaking the fast.
Yeah. So after you do that, that's still is that kind of manipulating, saying that you finna have dinner and breakfast before the sun comes up?
So you're kind of cheating
Are you actually cheating?
You're cheating it's a Western paradigm. We said we had to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We said we had to have 3 square meals a day anyway in the first place. So you wound up, breaking that chain or that veil drops. You realize you don't need that. And throughout the course of the day, if you continue to read your holy book or any other ones on that shelf there, live these principles and practices, whether it's doing good deeds and charity or whether you chant and pray and meditate a lot. After a while, you realize that when that time period ends, you didn't need to eat anything anyway. You given your body enough time to digest what you ate for dinner last night and the cheating breakfast that you had before the sun comes up. You didn't just eat breakfast and then let the food digest 3/4 of the way and then pile more lunch on top of it with that mystery meat from Burger King we all like to eat.
The Impossible Whopper.
Yeah, you can't do that with that sauce. You don't know what's in it. Stop for a lot. That's why it's all revolved around that inner being rejuvenated and lifted back up again. It's all about you becoming that peace on the inside, manifesting that on the outside, and hopefully all of that you're reading and doing, internalizing them practices lines you up with whatever prophet from whatever religion or whatever school of thought you come from, whatever prophet it is. I'm pretty sure he talked about not eating. From Buddha to Krishna to Muhammad to Jesus, peace be upon all of them.
One more question when it comes to the fasting, right? Since you fast during Ramadan, and you said earlier that this is a Western paradigm of us even eating 3 meals a day. After Ramadan, and you know you only basically eating 1 time a day, do you carry that on through the rest of the year of maintaining, not saying that you only eating 1 time a day, but not doing the 3 meals a day type of thing that we taught in the Western world?
I think definitely after completing that circuit, because now you get to go back and think about how you ate before then and how it made you feel, how you lived before then, how it made you feel, and this so-called tough time during these 28 and a half, 29 and a half days that you thought you couldn't do in a few days, you will have successfully done. And then you get to see how good your body feels. So now I think back 29 and a half days, I was eating fruits and vegetables and plant-based things and nuts and things that grow from the earth. I wasn't eating anything artificial. And after that time frame, I thought it was stressful, but man, I feel better. Like I really feel rejuvenated. I feel a little bit younger than I did beforehand. On the opposite side, this time 5 years ago, man, I was eating the biggest breakfast with more bacon than anything else on my plate. So I could look back at that now and say, shoot, when I wasn't eating like this, I felt bad. But after I did this thing that I thought was hard, and I found out that it really wasn't hard, you find out that you don't need those 3 meals a day.
Indeed, word to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Check out how to eat to live.
Yeah, do it, man. Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Oh, Bro.Bilal, you just spoke on it, but another question. How do you break the fast after Ramadan? Like, is it anything special that you eat, or you just filling up on anything, or is it a ritual that you go on, like you eating raw food, fruits and nuts, fruits and vegetables and grains, or are you eating meat right after Ramadan, or are you being a greedy glutton and you eating honey buns and anything like that to treat yourself for coming out of the fast?
I still follow the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. The first thing he would do after his fast was pick up a date and then break a piece of it off and eat that, and then put the rest of the date down or give it to his wife, and then continue to go on about doing his work throughout the rest of the day. So after that fast, I have to put something healthy in my body. I don't think I would want to go back to that mystery meat burger again, putting that in there and thinking that this whole cycle I just tried to do is going to work properly.
Indeed.
The very last day for that person that does make it throughout them 29 and a half or so-called 30 days, they make it to Eid al-Fitr, which is the festival of breaking the fast, which I don't know if anybody ain't never been to a Eid in a mosque before, but I don't know. See, find you a kufi at Homeland Village and see if you can practice how to say Salam Alaikum, and then show up on the 30th day of Ramadan and see how much food is in there that I'm pretty sure your tongue ain't never tasted before.
The big feast.
The big feast. We didn't get to do this last year.
Last year, during Ramadan, we was in the middle of this so-called pandemic. So compared to from this year to last year, is it anything different that you was doing last year, seeing as though we was in the so-called pandemic and you couldn't really get to the mosque and the people couldn't really congregate? What was different about 2020, so-called 2020 Ramadan compared to, I want to say, how you want to say, a normal Ramadan?
Shoot. Two main things: it's structure and brotherhood. Think about it. It's 360, almost 400 days or so of seeing nobody but your kinfolks you live with, if you live with anybody, or not seeing anybody if you live by yourself. At some point, the mosque was shut down. So that ritual of having to prepare yourself to make sure you got enough time to stop what you're doing, to go to the mosque so you can have this special moment with your brothers and sisters and spend your day out based on that, remembering God all throughout the course of your day. That structure is gone. And with that structure, your brothers are gone now, because now when we have our little meetings or whatnot and we want to discuss Quran, we have to get on the Zoom meeting. Everybody's sitting in their office at home looking at the camera. Hey, can you Assalamu alaikum. It's just not the same. But those that are real strict with the orthodoxy, that Tarawih prayer for standing and praying and bowing and thinking about nothing but God for an hour to an hour and a half straight, not being able to do that for 30 months, not being able to do that for 30 days out of the year last year, not being able to have that experience. People started to cry on day one. Day one. One bump. Boop.
That's what I was assuming at first. I was like, is he going to be eating?
Start breaking folks down. Because we realized that we did make it through last Ramadan. That's a big blessing. Because there's some people that were here with us 2 years ago that didn't make it past this last Ramadan. And the fact that now we get to go through that process, and we get to go through that process. We get to emulate. We get to worship. We get to come together and look backward at a time where we weren't able to do it. It makes you appreciate it more. You don't have to make it spooky or super religious or anything, but that experience within itself of standing inside a mosque with 75 to 100 other brothers that you know they're around you, but you can't see them. Why can't you see them? Because you're supposed to keep looking down where you're finna prostrate at. So you know your family is around you when you're in there praying. Everybody is focused on the same thing for an hour to an hour and a half straight. I don't know, man. Money can't buy it. Can't no vaccine give me the permission to be able to go back inside of mosque and be able to feel that again. I didn't have to get no shot to go back to the mosque to do that. We had to wait, but it's all about the experience. And looking back at it from then to now, man, Ramadan is an experience. You can read about the month. You can read about it all you want to. But unless you actually try to experience it, you don't have to do the full 30 days. Remember, Islam's all about your intention. If you set your intention to do 7, you think Allah ain't going to accept them 7 days? Knock across the face with a blessing when you get done with them 7 days. Inshallah, next year, see if you can do 14. If you can do them 14 next year, see if you can get up to that 29 and a half. Multiplying your own blessings in the process. Now 3 years later, you've officially done something that you thought you couldn't do 3 years ago. You didn't eat from sun up to sundown. You broke your fast when the moon rose up. You made extra prayers at night. You sent extra prayers on the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. For 30 days straight, you did nothing negative. You didn't cuss at nobody. You didn't yell at anybody. When an old lady was crossing the street, anything that needed to be done that was good, righteous, or holy, you did that for 30 days straight. Now, who's to say you can't do that for 365? You can do it for 29 and a half, you can do it for 365. That's the beautiful thing about Ramadan in Islam. And not being able to experience that last year, and finally being able to experience it this year. That brother that I noticed cried on day one, that was me yesterday. Couldn't stop. Just hit you at once.
Hey man, that was a powerful breakdown on that. I don't think, it was ever broke down to me that if you could only do 7, that 7 would be sufficient as long as you make the effort of the next year to add on another week, and the next year to add on another week. You know what I'm saying? And that was a powerful breakdown. That also goes to show, a lot of the brothers are scared to even say that they finna do that for 30 days. And the way you just broke that down, it might take 3 or 4 years for you to come up with that 30 days. You know what I'm saying? But it's sufficient that you taking those steps. One more thing, man, on that, when you just said the power of like congregating with your brothers and being with your brothers doing your rituals and during Ramadan, that was a powerful breakdown also though. I felt that one from the heart, just not being around your family and not being around your spiritual brothers, and to have that taken away from you, and to be able to just do it again after a long 365 days, that's powerful, man. That's powerful. One more question. What should you as a person, not as a group, not as a collective, but as a person, what should you as a person get out of Ramadan?
Salam. One thing, if you don't get peace out of Ramadan, I don't know, might not have did it correctly. If you don't get humility out of completing that circuit of Ramadan, I have did it. If you don't get courage, if you don't realize that you're just stronger than you thought you were, if you don't realize that things you thought that were holding you back from moving forward in life weren't really holding you back. You just needed to move forward. There's so many different ways to paint a picture of Ramadan. But each one of the ways that we paint this picture of Ramadan is just as beautiful as the next. Like there's always something that's unfolding, and whatever it is that's unfolding is just like it's like the tail of a peacock feather. Like I know that tail is attached to one peacock, but it looks like a bunch of individual dots on that peacock. Now that peacock ain't the personification of God or Allah or Muhammad, and all of them individual dots on that peacock tail ain't us. We all come from the same source. We might look a little different. Them dots on that peacock tail shaped a little different. Yeah, I prayed beside a Saudi Arabian. I prayed beside an Iraqi. I prayed beside a Palestinian. I prayed beside some brothers from Senegal. So many different colors and whatnot. I might not like some people that are white, some people that are black, but honestly that shouldn't matter, because the source on the inside of me is the same as the source on the inside of that Arab brother I was praying beside. That's what somebody gets from doing something like this.
My brother. Now it's time to go left a little bit. Do Africans and Arabs participate in Ramadan the same way?
Essentially, yeah. Arabs and Africans participate in Ramadan the same way. When we finish making our prayer, we still send salawat on the Prophet. We still fast during the same entire month, all 29 and a half days. We break our fast at the same time. At the end of the 29 and a half days, we celebrate with the big feast. So it doesn't matter.
I like that.
Doesn't matter whether the person's Arab or African. On that 30th day, they're either gonna have a big feast of typical Arab food, or they're gonna have a big feast of typical West African food. Some of the principles are the same. People are always giving charity, feeding people in Saudi Arabia in most cases. Do the same thing in West Africa. That's one of the primary principles we get taught by this person. One of the best things that a person can do is to give another person the salam. And if I'm not able to give this person the salam because this person might not give the salam back to me, then the next best thing to do is to feed people. So if you're not going to go around and give verbal peace to people, then go around and give them something that will benefit them internally.
Brother, one more, man. You know, we probably build a freestyle right after this. But just on the traditions of Ramadan, how does Ramadan end? And in tradition, what normally happens on the last day of Ramadan?
No homo, on the 30th day, I'm probably gonna cry again. It's man, it's you get that I did it feeling, but you get that I did it feeling multiplied by 29 and a half nights or 30 days. And then you get that I did it feeling multiplied by the entire Quran that you've officially prayed through for the 29 and a half days. All the extra chants and mantras you've done, the blessings and the rewards are multiplied by that. So now it winds up being a number you can't count to. About like the prayer from the last series. It's an innumerable number. You can't count to it. We can't perceive it. If we try to, it's a gray matter in our skull won't work no more after we get done with it.
What did you move for this?
Can't figure it out.
So my brother, I can feel that also. The feeling of accomplishment, you know, to know that you did the full month of Ramadan. And you know how some people, you know, they might play sports and they run a marathon and they got this certain feeling after they win or they run the marathon and complete a marathon, right? It's the same feeling of winning. You know, that's why I was saying earlier, what should you get out of Ramadan? And you took it somewhere else. It's a spirit of winning, of accomplishment, that you know that you did what you knew to be right during this month, and that you did everything that you were supposed to, and to complete that whole month. You know, that's a feeling of accomplishment, and that goes to show that you don't have to be a rapper, you don't have to be an entertainer, you don't have to be a celebrity to get that feeling of accomplishment. You can get that feeling of accomplishment by completing something such as Ramadan.
So true. Now think about there's people that play sports that are Muslims or Christians or other faiths and whatnot. So all these people that are playing soccer in other countries that are primarily Muslim, they're out there running across that field back and forth, and they hadn't ate since before the doggone sun came up.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true.
And they out there getting it in for Allah and Muhammad on that field with no food in their stomach. So you mean tell me they can go out there and do that? I can't sit at home behind a desk working from home for Geico and not eat something for like 12, 13 hours straight. Yeah, I can do that.
Somebody attacking you.
Yep, I can do that. I can make some extra prayers in between on my breaks. If these brothers out here playing soccer and football, and then in the middle of the final quarter, they realize that it's about that time. They run to the sidelines. They grab a date like the Prophet Muhammad does, and they break their fast. And then they get right back out there and keep going hard for Allah. If that ain't the most beautiful thing in the world, man, I don't know what is. And that experience don't cost no money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, not to conclude, but just to continue to add on, I saw a light in your eye. when we was talking about Ramadan earlier and just the feeling of accomplishment. Do you really have a sense of power after Ramadan and during Ramadan? Because I believe that you get stronger as you going through it. That's like when you working out. You get a sense and you get a feeling while you're going through it that something spiritually is actually breaking through for you. Do you actually have that feeling when you going through Ramadan or going through a phase pertaining to your religion or your way of life?
Yeah. Knowing a little bit about how this little flesh spacesuit thing works, you can kind of figure a little bit of it out. So if I start putting crap in it, maybe it'll stop feeling like crap. If I were to devote myself more to the Sunnah or the way of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then maybe my actions, what I bring forth, won't fail because I'm building them on something strong. If I'm devoting myself to reading, holy books and not reading a bunch of filth or anything that ain't gonna be edifying at all, I'm cultivating this. At the end of a cycle of doing that, it's kind of hard not to be able to see that I feel better, I act better, I put out better and bring forth better than I did before I started doing all of these things. It's a real science going on from the topmost heaven to the lowest, the macrocosm to the microcosm, as above, so below. Everything is connected. So if that process is going on in nature right now, the seed was in the ground for a while, and it thought it wasn't gonna make it, but a few days into this new spring season, that seed had enough strength to finally bust through out of this shell and start to spring forth life and then grow up. Now, if that can happen naturally during this time of year, then why in the world wouldn't a process similar exist within me? I can cultivate that the same way as the little pieces of flowers and grass, and I can't call out all of the plants I got outside, but if they can spring forth at this time of year in accordance with a certain principle, and that same principle that exists, or I'm able to understand it and try to apply it myself, then something must happen to this thing that I'm in also positively if I apply the right things to it. I can't pull up listening to the music I was listening to 15 years ago. Turn it down real quick when I get ready to pull up in front of the mosque so the brothers don't hear me, because my intention was off already. You gotta be cultivated too. It's a part of you.
That's something else that you brought up, man. The power of intention. How powerful is intention to you?
That's the very first step for anybody that ever thought about coming into the folds of Islam, is your intention. So now, oh man, I had this thought about going to the mosque because I want to go see what makes these brothers so righteous and upright and pious. That was my intention. That's the strength right there. Because if you didn't have that, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be where I was right now. I probably wouldn't be in homeland. I'd probably be on the south side with some of my homeboys, like turning up some Budweiser and drinking Quavo. Nah, I ain't got time for that anymore. That ain't gonna take me anywhere other than possibly behind some doggone bars again in the drunk tank, And then when they get out, they gotta go get my red car out of tow and get my stuff out of it, I try to deal with all of that. From stuff negative though. Like it came from stuff that was negative. Like I got off of work and then went to my homeboy house to go do all of that stuff back in the day 10, 15 years ago. I got off to work and set my intention to go buy a 12 pack and go drink with some Mexicans on the south side on a Tuesday. Knowing I gotta go work on a Wednesday. So now that I'm not the greatest. I don't know one that's the greatest, but definitely a little bit better than what I was. And I'm pretty sure the reason why I'm a little bit better than what I was is because of the positive things you try to apply throughout your entire day. I want no more of that negative stuff, man.
Indeed, just like that haram red car that you got.
I ain't got it. How old
Alright, my brother, we about to conclude. And you know, this is a portion of the day, man, where I always kind of let you get anything off your mind and tell the people anything that you want to tell them, man. Anything you want to get off your mind before we conclude, my brother?
I know I might look like a Muslim, typical Allahu Akbar, whatnot, but the process that's going on is Sankofa. That's the whole principle of things. Like, we were doing all of these practices and observances before any of the Abrahamic religions. So it's don't get too distracted by everything outside, all of the tales and whatnot that you think can't be applied to you, because they can be applied to you. And if you do it in the way that no matter what prophet did it, I'm pretty sure there was a prophet before him that did it. Yeah, Allah says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, the second book of the Quran, so you believe fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed to those that were before you. So fasting was prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those that were before you. So Islam was a relatively new religion. We know Christianity is a little bit older than it. So God told the Christians to fast also. It's in the church covenant. I'm moreover engaged to abstain from certain things, and they're listed throughout the church covenant. Fasting from certain things. There's other cultures that were before Christianity that I'm pretty sure fasted also. Get that oldest book in the world right now, the teachings of Tahotep. I'm pretty sure he's teaching them about fasting too, but that book there is 17,000 to 20,000 years old. So when Allah says fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed to those before you, and I can go back and verify 20,000 years ago some people had it right, why would I not do it? Gotta do it. So you can get it from the Bible, you can get it from the Quran, you can get it from Kemet, you can get it from the Bhagavad Gita. Not too savvy in too many other systems, but find a way. There's the prophet sent from each nation right back to that nation. Hud, Salih, Muhammad, Nuh, Adam. All of them sent from their people right back to them people to tell them what they need to be doing to get straight. That's what we need to do. And Sankofa, I'm pretty sure will teach us how to do it, because it's going to lead us right back to where we need to go, away from this Western paradigm and told us to eat 3 meals a day.
Indeed. Well, that's my brother Bilal, and we just went over some customs and tradition of Ramadan. And like I always say, man, my brother Bilal is a real student, and he's been really traveling his path and living his truth. You know what I'm saying? And I think even with a guy like myself that's a little older than him, you know, we always get something from the younger guys, and we love the fire that my brother Bilal comes with, man. Hey, man, appreciate the video, man. Appreciate the bill, man. Assalamu alaikum to you, my brother.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Peace.
Why they keep on calling my name?